This is a video game for the Nintendo 64, and if you can believe it, it was released just this year. Let's check it out. So the game is called Xenocrisis. It's from developer Bitmap Bureau Limited and is a love letter to classic top-down shooters of old. The story is pretty straightforward. You are a somewhat generic sci-fi space marine that has been tasked with investigating a code red signal from Outpost 88. You arrive to discover the outpost has been overrun with creepy aliens and then must fight your way through to figure out where the enemy came from and rescue any survivors. Admittedly, not the most original concept, but it doesn't really need to be. This game's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but rather is a celebration of what has come before. Still though, it manages to sneak a few trendy game design choices into things. The title features procedurally generated levels, configurable difficulty, in-game currency with upgradable item inventory, and there's even a co-op mode if you want to fight through hordes of baddies with a friend. It's sort of like an old-school arcade game meets modern convention. I was mostly impressed with the ghoulish yet stunning pixel art, and the fact that, come on, it's a new game on the Nintendo 64. This sent me down a total rabbit hole to see if other games had recently been released for the console, and before I knew it, I was knee-deep into homebrew video games. Viewers of a certain age will remember that the Nintendo 64 was a revolutionary video game console for its time, with innovative graphics and a slew of iconic titles. Official development ceased after the turn of the millennium, with the final game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, releasing on August 20th, 2002. That was over 20 years ago. As these things tend to go, the further we moved away from the Nintendo 64, the more nostalgia for the console grew, and the kids who grew up with it have now grown into adults, and many of those adults have become game designers, and many of those game designers are interested in developing for the console of their youth. So in recent years, there has been a significant uptick in unofficial and unlicensed N64 development. This is all possible because the one-time proprietary and inaccessible tools for development have become ubiquitous in the modern day. What were originally closely guarded trade secrets about how the console and the cartridges work have now, 20 years later, been figured out with advanced tools and documentation freely available online. Entire communities have developed around the console, sharing knowledge and resources to make homemade video games for it possible. And these newer, unofficial games are technical showcases that feature the best of the old with the best of the new, a fascinating blend of nostalgia and innovation. In 2019, Pico Interactive acquired the rights to a scrapped 1999 N64 game called 40 Winks, finished it, and then published it as a homebrew title, a sleek action platformer that immediately brings to mind classic titles like Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. But because this title and others like it are not official Nintendo releases, the developers are free to try basically anything, even including mechanics that were considered fairly unconventional for the console, like fully voice-acted real-time cutscenes and a two-player co-op mode, without having to adhere to any kind of standard practices from a big-name company dictating what is or is not allowed or possible. Game makers are now limited only by their imaginations. That and obvious physical restrictions. See, the thing is, these complex games that balance old school aesthetics with new school thought all have to be programmed onto dated technology, a 64 megabyte game cartridge. For perspective, recent AAA games are about 2,300 times that. So you've got to make creative decisions to fit your larger-than-life idea into what is today laughably limited storage. Programmer James Lambert has spent the past few years developing an N64 version of Portal. This is not a demake, a computer game designed to look like a retro game. It is a legitimate title. You can put it onto a cartridge and play it on the original system. If it seems intriguing, you can check out his channel where he details continued development. Working within the technical limitations of a bygone era is no easy task, and Homebrew offers aspiring developers a unique opportunity to revisit a classic console through a new lens. New titles are popping up like all the time. I have links in the video description if you're interested. So whether you're a seasoned gamer looking to jump back into the past, or you're interested in what development with classic technical limitations looks like, why not dust your old system off and give it another spin? This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Got a creation to show off? They've got everything that you need to get started. Start with one of their best-in-class website templates, and then use their new Fluid engine to customize it just how you like it. Use member areas to host exclusive video content. And if you've got something to sell, their online storefront makes it easy. Head to squarespace.com to start a free trial today. Give it a shot. If you like the experience, and I think you will, then when you're ready to launch your site in full, head over to squarespace.com/AustinMcConnell to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.